Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Newsline live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street in Colombo. And joining me on the set this morning is Professor Asitha de Silva, Chairman of the National Medicines Regulatory Authority and Professor at the the Faculty of Medicine in Ragama. Welcome and good morning to you, Professor.
Good morning, Faraz.
And thank you for being on Newsline.
It's my pleasure.
National Medicines Regulatory Authority. Now you're in the news a little bit, aren't you? Because you've imposed a maximum retail price for medicines.
I hope you're in the news for the right reason, the good reasons.
Is it? Why do you need to regulate the prices? What's happened to?
Well, I can give you a long-winded answer to that, but the tall and short of it, the primary objective of this is to make medicines more accessible to patients. I mean, it's not something that it is unique to Sri Lanka. Mm-hmm. I believe it's a core mission for any government to do that, and it's enshrined in the Millennium Development Goals, where it says that providing access to affordable, essential medicines is a key, fundamental requirement for a government. Mm-hmm. And that's what we try to achieve, and it's part of the mandate of my job, to make quality-assured medicines available to our patients at an affordable price. So what we have set out to do, this is not the beginning and end of everything, this may not be the best method either, but what we have set out to do is try and achieve that, to make medicines more accessible to our patients.
So you made a start?
We made a start with 48 medicines, as you know, and if you want to know how we went about that selection, there's what's called a principle of essentiality when it comes to medicines.
Right.
Now this was in the 1970s, Professor Senaka Bibili brought out this concept, which is embraced by the WHO today, and it's based on an essential medicines list for each country, based on its disease patterns and demographies and so on. So Sri Lanka has its list of essential medicines,
right, which
are considered essential for the well-being of its people.
Right.
So we selected 48 out of that, which are very commonly used for diseases like diabetes, hypertension, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, epilepsy, diabetes, yes, epilepsy, neurological disorders, psychiatric issues, gastric acidity, very commonly used medicines.
And what about that most common medicine, paracetamol?
Yes, it is part of the 48 medicines.
It's part of that?
Yes, certainly.
And what effect has it got? Because I only know much about Panadol, occasionally have to use that only. When we get the headaches, when the bond gets too much and so on. But anyway, what has it done to the price of Panadol?
Specifically?
No, paracetamol.
Yeah, okay, what this model has done to the maximum retail price, the price of paracetamol has been fixed, the maximum price.
Right.
There can be prices lower than that, but the maximum 130 a tablet,
right,
₹1.30.
Right.
So if you want to take a brand which is very widely used, it was selling at ₹3 a tablet, now it's come down to 130.
All right.
Some people might think it's negligible, it's paracetamol, but remember that when we have a fever, which is very common with dengue and all that, paracetamol is taken 2 tablets 4 times a day.
Right.
So there is a significant cost involved if you do the mathematics. Yes.
Yes, if we do the numbers, and we don't need the Auditor General to do that, because we can add up. I'm trying my best to try and link you, say something about the bond, but no bond this morning. Right. Tell us, what about some of these? So the imported medicines brands will also come under this. Everything will come under this.
Yes.
Does that mean that perhaps some of these foreign brands may not be available in Sri Lanka because they may say, well, we can't sell it at that price?
The short answer is that shouldn't happen. But I'll give you, as we go along the show, I'll tell you why it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
But principally, more than 90% of the medicines we consume in this country is imported. We don't manufacture that much. We don't manufacture our own consumption.
Right.
So it's imported. Now, in the world, if you take low and middle income countries spend anything between 20 to 60% on medicines of its health budget. compared to about 18% in developed countries.
Why the disparity?
Better processes, better guidelines, better price regulations, better price negotiations with the industry. Lots of reasons. So low and middle income countries spend as a percentage more on medicines than developed countries. And Sri Lanka's pharmaceutical budget is estimated to be about 60 billion Sri Lankan rupees.
That's the whole of that the pharmaceutical
for a year. Now, 50% of that is borne by the government, by the state, but somebody pays for it, which is provided free in the government hospitals. But 50% of that, that's 30 billion, is out of pocket for citizen Silva and Shakotali. This out-of-pocket payment. Now, that's what we really want to target, to try and make a component of that more accessible through a reduced price, because we know that price determines access. I mean, it is a very important determinant of access to medicine. So because we import so much, 90%, there are various ways in which pharmaceutical companies, importers have started doing this. One is simply where the manufacturer has a country office. So the price is fixed by that company, and we take it as it is. The second model has two components, which is there is a local agent for the importation. And pharmaceutical distribution, importation is like any other import business. There are costs associated with registration, marketing, distribution, promotion, and so on. So these companies, these local agencies, with the manufacturer overseas, negotiate a price, the CIF, and then they import. But most of the time, these companies, in the CIF price, that is cost, insurance, freight, put in other costs which should not be there, like marketing and other related expenses related to promoting this medicine
once it's arrived
into the CIF. And through other various mechanisms, through over-invoicing and throughout the distribution chain, rebates and various discounts given to pharmacies in the chain. The CIF gets fixed. And then comes the add-on on top of that. The other way pharmaceutical distributors do things here, the agencies, is they negotiate with the supplier, the manufacturer overseas, and say, look, we do not want any of our costs taken into the CIF, just give your cost. So they give it at their cost, and once they come in here, they have their markup to cover the expenses. So with these two models, pharmaceuticals, principally these two models, are imported by pharmaceutical importers in this country.
But from what you say, it appears that we may not always be able to control the C in the CIF, the cost, because like you say, the C, the cost, is being loaded with all sorts of other...
I'm not saying that everybody does that. The cost is up to the manufacturer. It's your cost of doing something. That's fine. But the problem is, even the Chamber of Pharmaceutical Importers accept that some of its members do this, where the CIF is loaded. See, for us, there was a very important WHO report which came out somewhere in June. The NMRA has been in business since June, July last year. I'm just 5 months on the job. And just after I came on board, there's a WHO report from an expert, Dr. Shilpa Modi. And she gave it to the WHO country office here. And this is a very long report, but there are two important findings in that. One is what I just told you, that the CIF is not actually CIF most of the time, and she discouraged the government, the state, from going down the CIF model for pricing medicines. The second was that the government, as you know, gives lots of benefits to importers. These medicines are tax-free, there is no VAT involved. But she argues and shows that this benefit does not go down to the citizen of this country, to the patient. So those two fundamentals we took very seriously when we considered various ways in controlling pharmaceutical prices. And controlling pharmaceutical prices is nothing unique to Sri Lanka. It's done practically every country except in the US. But I think that's going to happen soon. There's a recent Harvard Business Review written by one of their key, one of the famous pricing consultants, strategy consultants, Dr. Mohammed, in which he argues that prices of medicines in the US must be regulated, although he's principally against regulating anything in an open economy. But if you take US out of the picture and you go to other countries, for example, UK, where we have a very vibrant NHS, which provides comprehensive care to patients. UK regulates prices. They do it through various mechanisms, including price controls, that is capping your profit. Pharmaceutical companies are requested to provide annual returns, confidential annual financial reports, and they study these and say that's the profit you are allowed to keep. This is a serious negotiation. Incentives given for using generics, not the innovators we're talking about. 30% of the UK market is generic medicine. And they give incentives for NHS trusts for using generics to reduce the cost of the total health price of medicines, and various other mechanisms, including price fixing. And by doing that, they ensure that the price and the quality of medicines is regulated. They're regulated by the government. In France, it's through an insurance system. You know, most countries have an insurance system where you are reimbursed for what you pay. Now, insurance companies in France do not pay whatever you buy. They have what's called a transparency committee, and this reviews the prices of medicine and tells insurance companies, this is what you can reimburse. If the patient buys a very expensive brand, we are not going to reimburse. So with various methods, countries regulate pharmaceutical prices. Our biggest neighbor, India, has started doing that in the way we have. It's a slight twist to their methodology. But they have now brought under the maximum regulatory price scheme approximately 500 medicines. They started with, and they've decided to do this for 900 essential medicines. I've started with 48.
Sorry. So it's worth bearing in mind that this is for 48 medicines. The other medicines is available as
is.
But so the MRP doesn't extend beyond the 48 medicines.
No, not right now.
Only
because not every medicine probably, I'm not an expert on health economics, but I don't think every medicine can be controlled through an MRP model. I'm sure there are other ways of doing this. But in principle, I'm a firm believer that, like most countries, including OECD countries, the prices of medicines have to be regulated. A lot of people ask this question, in an open economy, why do you want to regulate prices? Let competition decide the price. Now that can happen if it's an even playing field. It's not an even playing field. If you look at the pricing of pharmaceutical brands in this country, pricing defies logic. So you have the innovator, let's say a European produced brand, and that price is in the stratosphere sometimes, and then we have the very low price. And these are consumed by a very small percentage of Sri Lankan citizens. The bulk is the majority of our people consume in the middle. And these prices in the middle segment are stacked very close to each other. And as a result, there is not much price benefit through competition there. Plus, when a patient goes to a pharmacy to take his medicine, he has to go along with the prescription. So it's not a free market, it's leveraged by the prescriber for whatever the reasons. A lot of times the correct reason. And the pharmacist also has his favorite brands because there is a leverage involved there. And as a result, the patient doesn't make a free choice. Because it's not like buying a biscuit or a chocolate. You are buying what you're told to buy, and our prejudices, our opinions, right or wrong, have been put into that. And I'm not finding fault with that, I'm just saying that's the way it happens.
And then because it's a medicine, most people aren't going to argue about anything.
And you know how people are very health conscious?
They're told to buy X, and they'll go to the pharmacy and ask for X.
Absolutely. Our people are very literate, and they ask the doctor, this brand, I practice medicine, and they ask.
Now I want to ask you this. Is it the same? So if you take one type of paracetamol and you take another brand, and if one's more expensive than the other, biologically, chemically, the effect of this, is it the same?
Well, if you don't accept that it's the same,
Yeah.
the maximum retail price model or price regulation does not work.
Right.
You have to accept that there's a level playing field
Yeah.
at the point at which the medicine is evaluated.
Right.
But there's a perception. I mean, sometimes in me,
Yeah.
because that's the way I've been brought up. I'm
Yeah.
a product of the open market economy. That a more expensive product is better,
It must be better.
must be better.
Yeah.
It need not be better.
Right.
And the NMRA has a very robust way of evaluating medicines, devices, vaccines, biologicals, before registering and giving market authorization in the country. And we satisfy ourselves that through pharmaceutical, pharmacological, and clinical assessments, which takes sometimes up to a year, that these medicines that we provide market authorizations to are similar broadly to the innovator product.
And in an open economy, it's obviously part and parcel of that is about making choices, about being able to choose.
Yes.
And so you're confident that the other medicines that are not part of the 48 will continue to be available in the Sri Lankan market.
Yes, I'm sure that there are no reason even to argue for
Right.
the other medicines other than 48. There are arguments about the 48 medicines. There were a lot of reports in the first week or two when there was a scarcity and the papers were in the media drumming up a lot of hysteria. But I'm happy to tell you that it has settled down a lot. The pharmaceutical companies and the chamber are very responsible organizations. They have approached this responsibly, and we have written assurances from
Yeah.
multinational companies and local suppliers
Yeah.
that they will continue to supply medicines that they have been supplying,
Yeah.
which is part of the 48, without any interruptions, at the regulated price.
The NMRA, your organization, so they've been in business for.
The NMRA has been in business for more than 1 year.
Okay.
But its predecessor, the Cosmetics, Drugs, Devices Regulatory Authority, has been there since the 1980s.
Right, but it's taken this trying to control the prices and make it more affordable and make a level playing field has been in place for about 4 or 5 months now.
No, just effort has been 4 or 5 months,
Yeah.
but the discussion has been going on for years.
Right.
But the regulation is just around 1 month at the moment.
Right.
So yes, this government did that, and the Honourable Minister of Health at present, Dr. Rajit Senaratne, when he appointed me, was one of the few things he told me was, get me an affordable medicine to our patient. That is important because our people can't afford.
Yeah.
You give a prescription for 1 month to a diabetic. Remember, 20% of our country is diabetic. Prevalence of high blood pressure is 30%. Female obesity is estimated to be more than 30%. We have an epidemic of non-communicable diseases. So if we don't give access to our patients to these medicines, 30 billion out of pocket, we are doing a huge disservice. We cannot get proper control. We can talk about walking, doing all things, the lifestyle modification, but compliance with the prescription is a key to controlling these illnesses with grave consequences if you do not. So the government and the minister took a very bold step, in my opinion, to go through with this. I know that there was significant pressure, and all credit to them.
Some of these pharmaceutical companies are giants, and how have you managed to get this going without falling to the PR of these big business, basically?
Through consultation?
Right.
If I may just take
Yes.
a minute to explain to you how we did it.
Yeah.
So what we did was we identified these 48 medicines on the National Essentials Medicines list. And if you take a medicine, let's say metformin for diabetes,
Yeah.
there are about 10 or more brands for that medicine. So for 48 medicines, for each medicine there are many brands. And these brands are priced across a wide range.
Yeah.
So what we did was we took IMS, International Marketing Services, that is the best quality data we have, the world has, to assess pharmaceutical markets, and Sri Lanka has its database. They have our database. So when you take that for the first quarter of 2016, we can map out the brands that control about 90 to 100% of the market for that medicine. So that's what we did. For each medicine, we took the brands covering 90 to 100% of the market share,
Right.
listed the prices from top to bottom, and then took the median, the middle. Now, India, what they did was they took the average. They put the prices down, divided by the number of medicines, and took the average.
Right.
Our statisticians thought that that might not be appropriate for Sri Lanka because the price range is very wide.
Right.
So and as I said, the lowest price is consumed by 1 or 2% of the people. The highest priced medicines like the innovator brands are most of the time consumed by 3 to 4, 5% of the patient population. So we took the middle because we wanted the maximum impact, to bring maximum relief to the maximum percentage of patients. So that was the middle. So we took the median price and said that's the maximum retail price, and that's ceiling price. Every brand above that must come down, but remember there are brands priced below that for that medicine. They cannot go up. The gazette is very clear. They cannot increase from what they were before the gazette notification. And as a result, what is above comes down, what is below stays where they are. And by bringing down the maximum retail price, most of the time in these quality assured generic medicines, and sometimes top class, what you believe, innovator medicines, which some people believe are far superior, also come down to that maximum retail price. So the patient has access to a better choice at a lower price. So that's the model we followed. And then once we developed the model, we presented it to the Honorable Minister. He was convinced that's the best way to go. Because by the time I took office, there was a lot of talk about CIF plus 85% markup for pharmaceutical prices. CIF plus 85% markup. Now that went out of the window because once we studied the WHO report, plus the 2015 WHO guideline for governments and pharmaceutical pricing, and a recent World Bank report for East Asia and Pacific 2015, we decided that this, because of the problems, the non-verifiable problem of the CIF.
Yes, the C, that's the problem.
It is what they tell us.
Yeah.
And because it's duty-free, the customs, I'm not saying that they're negligent, but they're not interested in finding out the exact price.
And there would be no remit.
No remit, because there is no duty involved.
Yeah.
So the price CIF is given by the importer. So we decided that we are not going to go down that road because I believe it would have really done a huge disservice. And I would be under tremendous pressure, much more than I'm under right now, for doing that. So we took this and presented it to the minister, and he was very happy, and he saw the benefit of this. The NMRA, the National Medicine Regulatory Authority, has a pricing committee. It's chaired by Dr. Paritha Bekon. We discussed it, and then we took it to the chamber. So there's a huge process of consultation. Chamber of Industry, pharmaceutical industry, clinical community, medical associations, colleges, and so on. And we were even consulted, or let me say, they came to meet me, European Union office in this country, to discuss this issue, and we came to a conclusion that's the best way to do it. And after this process, we presented to the country. The Honorable Minister chaired 2 meetings attended by the Pharmaceutical Importers Chamber. So I saw some paper reports that it's ad hoc, it has not been discussed. Now that's rubbish. I would say it's mischievous, those reports. And because I know for a month we went through a process of consultation, which we must.
In all this, listening to you, by the way, we've some viewers sending in some questions there. Today, though, there are more statements. I'll just read one of those. It says, good educative news line today. Please have it on Patikada as well. A big thank you. Well done, Professor.
I'm deeply gratified by that.
To get on Patikada, you'll need to come here earlier. And the host is out of the country at the moment, but Patikada carries on. And Patikada, of course, broadcasts in Sinhalese language at 6 o'clock in the morning to 6:30 on our sister channel, Sirisa. But in all this, and very quickly as we come to the end of this morning's program, Professor, why is it that nobody has seized this opportunity and isn't manufacturing more in Sri Lanka?
Well, this government this Ministry of Health has taken the initiative to do that. You know, there's a state pharmaceutical manufacturing corporation,
Indeed,
which does not manufacture sufficiently. They have limited capacity. So the government has encouraged them to go into a public-private partnership with industry, and the cabinet has shortlisted 23 organizations in the private sector with technology transfer from developed countries most of the time to manufacture in Sri Lanka, not only for our consumption, but if there's a surplus, to export on a buyback guarantee, which is very attractive to the private sector. And I'm very happy to tell you, the cabinet has approved that, and this is in process, and we should see that happening very soon, because I believe manufacturing locally is ultimately the answer to bringing prices down of pharmaceutical products. And we are on track for that. This government has started doing that. And if just finishing, I know that you asked about the innovator price.
Yeah.
Well, they need not leave the market, and lots of organizations are not doing that.
Right.
If I just highlight this with an example, if you take a very important statin called rosuvastatin, it's the innovator brand from Europe is priced very high. As I said, it's in stratosphere. It has now come down to 37 rupees per tablet. That's from what it was, 150 rupees.
Yeah.
In India, the same thing is available at 28 Sri Lanka rupees.
28 Sri Lanka rupees.
28 Sri Lanka rupees. In India you can buy it because it's regulated. So we have done the same, and it's at 37 rupees here. Now in India, the government had to take into cognizance two things. One is making medicines access to its common man, which we have. Second, they have a very vibrant, world-competing biotechnology industry. They had to make sure that the money the companies earn, the manufacturers earn, must go into research and development, so they can interfere too much and reduce their margins. But even with that in mind, encouraging R&D and more money into the companies, they regulated the prices, and that particular medicine is priced at 28 in Sri Lanka and it's 37 here. And I believe it is a case of the pharmaceutical importers here realigning their strategies. I'm not telling them how to do their business, and I don't know how to do it myself, but to try and shift from importing, let's say, from Vienna or other big European countries to start importing from the region and bring that price benefit to our patients.
I suppose there are a lot of suitcase importers who go to India and pack their bags in.
Absolutely. A lot of people have started saying that, or some people have started saying that it's going to happen now.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it should happen now, because there's not much price difference between India and Sri Lanka now, although we are slightly higher, which is okay because we are not a manufacturing country.
Yeah. Okay.
But before that, it was happening because you can go to India and buy that statin, rosuvastatin, innovator brand, for 28 Sri Lanka rupees, and bring it here. If I sell it for 40, as opposed to 150, I'm on to a winner. I'm not going to sell at 40, I'm going to sell at 148.
I think our medicines industry is onto a winner with such innovative thinking going on at the NMRA. Thank you very much, Professor Asitha de Silva, for being on Newsline. We look forward to welcoming you on our network one more time, anytime actually, and do consider coming on our Sinhalese particular program.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time.
And thank you for making it all more affordable to the people.
Well, it's the government that implements it. I just did the background work.
Thank you. And thank you very much for being part of the viewing public today. And we look forward to welcoming you again, same time, same place. Take care, have a great day, and God bless.